We are back on the ML Sports Platter. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Arc of Onondaga, Burn Dairy, and Welch & Company Jewelers. Shop the showcase today at welchjewelers.com. I brought on my good pal, DA, terrific national talk show host, SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio. Make sure you go follow him on X and all the social platforms. DA, it has been way too long, and I'm loving the background, my man. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, in honor of that sweet old school Sabres hat that you got on, I had to break out some Cornelius Bennett action in the back of me with the old school Bills.
I love it. I got the biscuit on my wall on this side, in fact.
Sweet.
In that classic stand up, leaning in, and I'm going to kill you pose.
Yep.
You were just in Central New York. I'm so sorry because we've been getting destroyed with winter, and the basketball season has been absolutely brutal. Where I start is this. How would you fix this? How would you fix Syracuse basketball?
Well, part of it's administration, part of it's the coach. I think that the team on the floor is probably not maxing out in terms of results, but I think also it's a bigger issue than that because this isn't the first year we're watching a non-tournament team. This is the culmination of the end of the Boeheim era and then the 3 years under Adrian Autry. And so I think there has to be administratively a different type of commitment from an NIL standpoint. And I think that one of the things that Syracuse has struggled with athletically is playing like a middle tier school, paying like a middle tier school, having a middle tier type of commitment financially with a lot of what it does. And so that's just kind of the name of the game. You're going to have to get creative in terms of fundraising. You'll have to get creative in terms of where those financial resources come from. But the next AD has got to think bigger, I think, than Wild Hack has done in previous, perhaps, ADs as well. And then the second part is you have to have a coach that kind of energizes this fan base. I was at the Dome for the UNC game. And this is a lost season. This is a year where everybody kind of feels like the game has passed the program by, and yet there were still 23,000 people inside the Carrier Dome for a squad that's going to miss the postseason or miss the tournament for 5 straight years. To me, that's an extraordinary number considering most campuses can't hold 23,000 in their own building. And here Syracuse in a down year getting 23 to get worked over again by UNC. So I think that the fan base is still there. They're just dying for something to root for. And I think the next head coach has got to do that. Well, Adrian Autry has the bona fides as a former Boeheim lieutenant, played for the program, et cetera, part of the glory years. He's kind of an even-keel guy. He's kind of a low-key guy in many ways. I think the next guy has to be somebody that feels energized and has to connect to an audience that's desperate right now. So that I think Fran Brown does pretty well, but certainly Adrian Autry doesn't even seem to really try to do. And whether that's one of these young guys or somebody else, I think that's a pretty key component here in terms of trying to get this thing turned around.
Shifting to the Major League Baseball scene, we're coming up on it. Yanks, Mets, what do you like most? What do you like least about each of these teams? And I just think it's almost like rinse, repeat with the Yankees for sure. And the Mets are a little bit banged up here. Do you land anywhere on these teams with it being any different this year? And Met fans lose some guys that are close to their heart in the offseason too, DA. And I just look at the Yankee roster and I'm going same, and I think it's going to be the same result.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Yankees, it's like everybody outside of the Yankees organization thinks that they have to change things to finally win a World Series since 2009. And everybody inside the Yankees thinks it's business as usual because we had such a good record last year and it could have been them in the playoffs making that run instead of the Blue Jays. I feel like the reality is somewhere in between. I think the Yankees aren't urgent enough and maybe the fan base doesn't have a wide enough view to realize that last year in the postseason was a failure, but the regular season was a pretty good one yet again. So I do agree with you, though, in the big scheme is that it's hard to get excited about a team that is just kind of running it back again when last year was not acceptable by Yankee standards. From a Mets standpoint, the Alonso, I think the fan base, and I'm a Mets fan, I think we could have dealt with the Diaz departure. I know we could have dealt with the, McNeil departures and the Nimmo departure. Sure. It was the Alonso thing that hurt everybody because it felt like homegrown guy, huge bat in the middle of the lineup. When feet were to the fire last year, he delivered and delivered big. Mm-hmm. What else do you want? And you're supposed to be, filled with money if you're Steve Cohen. So what was the problem? And I think that one hurt everybody. I think the entire fan base was really, really upset until the Bo Bichette signing. And then the Bo Bichette signing, I think, eased a little bit of that. It didn't ease all of that, because if they get into this year and they can't drive in runs and they're not hitting home runs at a good clip, and Alonso's on pace for 35, 40 home runs like usually is, it's going to be a glaring departure. But to be fair, Stearns, I thought, rebounded well after that disastrous week where Diaz and Alonso left. And let's face it, if chemistry was really an issue, which does seem like it was last year, then if they have a great clubhouse and they're winning, then Stearns looks smart. If they've got, if they have a great clubhouse but they're losing, then he looks like, well, how much value is there in a great clubhouse? You still got to put together wins and drive in runs. So the proof is in the pudding with the Alonso departure, but I think there's a cautious optimism that the Bo Bichette signing was a good one, but losing Alonso was a bridge too far for a lot of Mets fans to feel very optimistic about.
I agree with that, and I think he's going to be huge for the Orioles. I think he's going to help that clubhouse, all those young guys, a lot of pop in that park. The division across the board, other than the Yankees, I think got better mostly. But yeah, the polar bear, he's durable too, man. He plays 155 to 162 usually every single year. A couple more for DA here on the national side, hosting on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Of course, go get him on the social platforms, the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by Arkavan Adaga and Burn Dairy. USA takes gold, both women and men in the hockey world. I thought it was awesome when the men won and got it done in OT with the Jack Hughes golden goal. What's going through your mind? Sports fan, media man, American, what's hitting you?
Well, I thought that it was really cool that hockey was the anchor tenant of this Olympics. It felt a little like 92 at the Dream Team in that basketball, that the Olympics, the 92 Olympics are great in Barcelona, but it's forever remembered with the men's basketball team. And I think the same thing will be with this Olympics. I thought the 2026 Winter Olympics were really fun. I think there was a lot of fun events and stories that came out of it. And it was great that the women's hockey team also dominated. And so I think that the men's hockey team finally getting over the hump and beating Team Canada and doing so in overtime the way that they did. And, the goalie performance by Hellebuck and on and on and on, and Jack Hughes' goal, and now him being a celebrity, was a really cool cultural thing, because it will be the year that hockey was the thing in the Olympics. And I don't know if that translates to a larger audience for the sport. I'm guessing it translates at least a little bit to participation with youth leagues and kids that watch that. But I just thought it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful sport. They're oftentimes overlooked in the American sports landscape. And this was a moment that they had to themselves, and they absolutely crushed it. There was just no better script that could have been written if you were a hockey executive than watching what happened with the sport for both the men and the women in the Winter Olympics, and the way that it ended against Team Canada.
Is this offseason, because of McDermott getting fired, any more crucial for the Bills? I mean, they are in this window. They have Josh Allen. We know what the deal is. They've been knocking on the door, divisional playoffs 6 years in a row, sustained success, the culture. They're fun again. They're great again. And then there's the but ... right? They haven't gotten to the big game. They haven't won the big game with this unicorn animal at quarterback. Is this any more important? And Joe Brady's now the head coach. Where do you land on the Bills here? It's just such a weird place to be,
Yeah, I think this offseason's hugely important, and more so than in previous years, because Brandon Beane has his feet to the fire now. If we are led to believe that Terry Pagula acted alone here, and he just had to make a change because they kept hitting their head in the playoffs on a glass ceiling with McDermott, well, that glass ceiling now should be removed. And so, Brandon Beane, if you are not part of the problem, then you must be part of the solution. And that means this offseason has got to be really good. And I think the fact that Brandon Beane has kind of also echoed the fact that they needed a change means that he must understand, if they fail again and he's the general manager and he felt like promoting Joe Brady was the right move, then it's a failure now on him. You cannot blame McDermott anymore. So I think because of that, and I think Beane has a healthy ego, I think you'll see a more aggressive offseason. I think Brandon Beane knows he's got to put together a team that that jumps past what McDermott was able to accomplish. I think he also, whether he will loudly admit it or not, knows that he got caught in the wide receiver thing last year, and he sniped at local Buffalo media for questioning his wide receiver room. And then what happened? I mean, his wide receiver room was a disaster all season long. He did find Brandon Cooks late in the year, but it was too little too late. So I think you'll have to see a more aggressive offseason from Brandon Beane. He knows it. And, the Joe Brady hire, I don't know. I think we're all kind of tepid on this. It feels like, was he really the best candidate? At the same time, if I were to say, well, I wanted a young offensive mind that Josh Allen signed off on and has credentials in winning a big game or a championship, well, he's got all those things.
Right.
And I almost feel as though if Joe Brady was somebody else's OC and brought in, it would feel better.
Totally.
Even if the same exact guy would feel better for Bills fans, except that he was in the house. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it does seem like they might have gotten the right guy. It just might have come in the wrong package.
Could not have said it better myself. And I agree with you. I'm kind of in the middle with Joe Brady. And you just outlined why I'm in the middle. And you know what? Maybe they think their Clint Kubiak is in the house. So that's why they didn't go out and get somebody like that. In the final, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds, I got you. The one thing in sports that jumps to the top of your mind, collegiate, pro, whatever, that you would change right now would be what?
Well, I think the transfer portal is a disaster. I just think it's so stupid that every single year we have championship programs that have to sign new quarterbacks. I think it's so stupid. Every single year in March Madness, it's a completely different starting five. I think this whole thing is so dumb. And at least close the windows a little bit, at least make it a little limited, because I just don't think it's good for every player and every roster in both big-time sports to essentially be changing zip codes like it's free agency. I mean, even in the pros, we don't have everybody as a free agent every year. Right. I think that part of it's so broken.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. DA, Damon Amendolara, of course, doing a great job. National talk show host on the Mad Dog Sports Radio side, SiriusXM. Go get him on all of the social channels as well. Damon, great to catch up with you, man. I'm glad you had fun in CNY. And next time you're in the house, let's grab some slices, my man.
Thanks, bud. Will do. And for all of your viewers out there, I'm on YouTube. Find me on YouTube. Subscribe there, because I'm doing Bills content throughout the offseason and football content every single day. The offseason never sleeps in football, so I got you guys covered.
That's right. Go subscribe to DA. Hey, good luck with the parenthood too, my man.
Thanks. It's not for the weak-hearted.